Our next guest, no stranger to this show, from this city at this time of year, but it's been several years. Brad Treliving, General Manager of the Calgary Flames. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I like the setup here.
So,
it's been a while.
How was your summer?
Slow.
Yeah.
Had its moments.
I mean, I think what I would love to know is, was there ever a moment of panic for you? Or did you always have something, a plan B? Yeah, okay, if this happens, this happens. Like, because us watching from afar in the cheap seats, I'm feeling for you. Like, as every week goes by, oh my God, what's he going to do? Because he had so many pieces in place, you couldn't really afford to lose a couple of pieces. And in the end, you replace them. Was there ever that moment of panic?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, listen, it's great to say, oh, yeah, we had it all under control. That would be a complete lie. I mean, guys, we knew the contractual situations of those players all year. And, we had looked at trying to do something last year with those players and weren't able to. Mm-hmm. And so you get into the season and, when everything sort of happened and they were sort of coupled on each other, I'd be lying if I didn't say there was a few moments of, all right, now what? But, you just sort of regroup and you work hard, but to me, there's luck involved with some stuff too. Like things fall into place and we were able to, to get some stuff done. And, at the end of the day, we'll see, right? We'll see where everything is. I've been asked a lot, well, how do you compare this year, last year? Last year's over with. Whether we made changes or didn't, you can't really spend too much time looking behind. So we've got some significant changes. We got to get into camp and see how it all fits. But it had its moments for sure.
The expression about necessity being the mother of all invention, your roster was on the rocks, your market was under fire, and you were able to do everything that you were able to do. Did you have a sit back moment when it was all said and done and go, glad that's over. Glad we got through that. I'll be stronger for the adversity of going through that.
Yeah, it might have been over at that table somewhere in early or late August, but no, it was. Our staff did an unbelievable job. We kind of, like I said, you sort of gamed some things out and said, okay, if A happens, what are our options? So we had talked about that all throughout the year, and then. When it became a reality, there was certainly some, when we dealt with Matthew, there was some restrictions in terms of certainly who we could deal with or who he was prepared to deal with. So that created you've got some obstacles there, but, once it was all done, you kind of said, okay, where are we? It probably took a deep breath, but, I still think we need to do some other things yet.
It was the first sign and trade in NHL history, right?
Yeah, it was. And which I was a little shocked about. And it's not that it doesn't, that sounds probably more dramatic than it really was. But certainly, when we went to market with Matthew, one of the things we were saying, at the end of the day, guys, we were playing with sort of a 2-4 offsuit, and we were trying to create a little bit of leverage where we probably didn't have a little bit, and one of them was the ability to get the extra year for the acquiring team. So we tried to, we had that situation, and we were able to execute it, get a deal. Billy and I had a deal done. Then he had to get a deal done with Matthew's representatives, and then away we went.
I think you've upgraded your D as well with Weegar. Did you think that was going to be a part of the agenda, whether it was in that deal or not, or did that just kind of fall into your lap a little bit, that you got not only the replacement for the 2 forwards that left, but you get a defenseman?
Well, when we went into it, Blake, when you do sort of the deep dive at the end of the year, that's one of the areas. I thought our defense played well last year, but we were exposed when Tanny got hurt. And hey, at the end of the day, when you lose good players, it's hard to replace top players. So it's easy to say, well, this guy goes down, we need a replacement. But we kind of felt if we could try to find a way to get a little deeper on the blue line. But at the end of the day, a lot of those things were, it was wait and see, because you had significant contracts that were up, obviously with John and Matthew, and then with Eric on the back end. So, I'm excited about the group we've got. What makes me excited is the players are excited. People talk about Jonathan and Naz, and as they should. I don't think MacKenzie gets a lot of sort of accolades, but I think he's a hell of a player. Watch this player a long time. We don't see him a lot in the West, being out in Florida, but I think he's a real good player, and I'm looking forward to seeing him with our group.
There's a clan of people in Vancouver that were trying to lobby the Canucks to get MacKenzie Weegar back in the day. Remember that? The Stats Darlings, and you broke some hearts by getting him into Calgary.
If it was just Matthew and Gaudreau and the huge trade, that would be one thing. But then it was Nazem Kadri and having to create cap space and having to move out a guy who at one point was a pillar of your franchise. Take us through that do-side-do with Kadri and Monahan.
Well, it was interesting because, really in a lot of ways, everything was linked, right? So we find out on John, basically the night before free agency opened. One of the things, as hard as it was, quite frankly, when you get the news on John is, I thought we really had to kind of hold our water here a little bit. The first thing is to try to react and say, okay, we've lost John. What, the last thing we needed to do was just go out and do things just panically, or in a panic. I talked to Naz's representatives, Darren Ferris, when the bell went off, but I just said, listen, we like the player, but quite frankly, we got a lot of moving pieces here right now. And, so as the summer went on, it was we kind of stayed in touch. And then as things started to take place, we stayed in touch. We're working through sort of what a deal would look like for him. But like a lot of teams in the league, I said, we need to create some space. So once we were able to get a deal with Naz tentatively put together, then it was out trying to, you're sort of doing parallel pass. If this happens, and listen, we paid a significant price to move money, which you do in this in sort of in this environment. And Sean's a tremendous young guy. It was tough because Sean's been a real good player. He predates me. That was a Jay Feaster selection and a hell of a selection. So he deserves the credit there. But I became close to that player. He's a wonderful kid. He's battled through a lot of injury issues. I think he's going to have a good year. This is probably the best he's felt. Our feeling with it, Matt, was we've sort of come this far, and part of it was we're going to make we're going to change some things over, and the ability to have Naz to come in there and sort of bat 1-2 there with Elias Lindholm, and then you got Michael Backlund there. We thought it gave us some real depth in the middle, and lucky to get him.
That covers the summer that was, and the busiest summer, I think it's fair to say, of any of the 32 teams in the NHL. Season anew here. What's it like being back in your hometown and seeing young stars back here?
I think it's awesome. I think it's great for the players. I think anytime you can get one of these events where you're, it's a great competitive situation for an evaluation, and you get to see your own young guys, and sometimes you got to be careful, right? Because all the different rules, and some of the European kids and college kids, so it may not be a true evaluation of a team's reserve list, but I think it's a great opportunity for these guys to get right off the bat, get a great evaluation against their peer group. You got to look at the other teams, the other team's young players. So I think it's great for the players. They do a wonderful job in terms of how it's run. The building's fantastic. And then selfishly, guys, for the old guys and sitting in the stands, I think this is awesome. We love coming to Penticton. I'm a little bit biased. I spend some more time here, as much time as I can here. So to get everybody in here, get your staff in here, it's a great way to kick off the year. And I think the media likes coming here too. I haven't heard any complaints. So
it's hard. It's hard though, Brad. It's hard here.
It's working hard. Right?
Yeah,
a lot of hard work.
Yeah,
Blake's got a really tight turnaround for a game at Incomeep.
Just trying to squeeze everything in is difficult.
Trying to fit it all
before the puck drops between you guys and the.
Yeah, when you see the staff walk into the rink with golf spikes on, things have been backing up. Right?
The other thing we should mention it's been a big talking point for the last 2 days that we've been here, and you would know better than most. I mean, given how many years you've had eyes on this community, is just how Penticton is modernizing here. Like this corner downtown, Winnipeg and Westminster, what's going on Lakeshore there, right in front of the lake. I think for many who live on the coast and haven't been here for a while because of the pandemic or because there's been no young stars, they've sort of taken a fresh look, wide eyes here.
Unreal.
At Penticton.
If I can do my Chamber of Commerce segment here, it's great. And listen, it's summer is usually sort of the busy time here, but this is a great. I've always said, in our business, obviously September we get busy with stuff, but September is a great month here. It slows down a little bit, but they've there's some great restaurants. You're right. The sort of this warehouse district that they've come up with, and then obviously got the wine country on the bench and I think there's a lot to do, whether you're golfing or you're on the water or, just wandering around town. They've got a little farmer's market you got to check out tomorrow, guys, down Main Street. Lots of stuff to do.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
It's a little hidden gem in the Okanagan.
Not sure how hidden it's going to be as this continues here.
No.
Our last question, our Bodog poll question today. Brad, who's the best team in Western Canada?
Well, we're got 82 games to figure that out. You know what? People, I think it's, whether it be Western Canada, I guess, but our Pacific Division, and I guess with everybody but Winnipeg, I think our division is going to be a dogfight. Like I think Vancouver. I like what Vancouver's done. I think you look at what Vancouver did last year. After the change, I like Travis. I think Travis is a heck of a coach. Sometimes things happen. Bruce comes in, it's sort of wherever Bruce goes, the teams sort of take off. So he did that last year, and I think their team's gotten stronger. Vegas to me was just a team that was injured last year, but they're a hell of a team. You see what Edmonton did. We had a tough time against them in the playoffs. So, LA, that's not even to mention the LAs. Anaheim's on the come. San Jose, I think it's going to be a really, really tough test in the West.
But we want to turn back the clock to the 80s.
Well, that's
Canucks and Flames or Flames and Oilers.
There you go.
Yeah.
Those two traditional, right?
Yeah.
Either one of those series, heck, maybe we were lucky enough to get both of them.
Yeah.
But boy, would that be fun, huh?
It's funny because now I don't want to talk about the pandemic because we're past that, but it was interesting. And I'm a Vancouver, I'm from Vancouver. So some of those playoff series against Canucks Flames were great. Everybody remembers the 89 series, obviously in Calgary, getting to know a lot of those alumni and the ride they went on. But, if you were a Vancouver fan back then, was he in the crease or whatever was it? Jim Poplinski, I talked to him about that. And then obviously, Vancouver's run there with the Bure goal in Game 7. So, I think it sounds cliche, but it's going to be a dogfight. And, we're just hoping to be one of those teams stand at the end, but we know, Vancouver's got a hell of a club.
The pride of Penticton, British Columbia, Calgary Flames general manager Brad Treliving. Nice to see you again.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me on. Great
Brad.
setup too.
Thank you.
Like the setup.